a busy time of year. We're, for instance, this week, right after the game, we started, kind of our first iteration of free agent meetings. And when I say we start, that process is always ongoing. You're studying players, but it's the first formal time we come in here and start looking at the different stacks and the way we've graded people at each positions, and you start to get a landscape. You look at the college class and you say, okay, here's what's going to be here in the college draft with this said position group, and now we say, okay, here's what's out there, and we look at our own roster. And so, that's the cool thing about this job. It's never ending. It's always really focused on what we're doing right now and invested in that, but also having to look ahead and having the opportunity to do that and try to figure out the puzzle on how do you improve what already is a really good team. And but the biggest focus is on our current team, and we did have a tough loss to Baltimore. I think our team's done a nice job as invested as we were in that, and as looking forward as we were looking to that matchup, and disappointed with the way it played out. We understand we got to move forward, and we've got everything that we want in front of us and in our own control, and we just the important thing is that you take care of business, and you take all that disappointment, you learn from it, you move forward, and understand that we've got to go a long way on a short week, and so there's challenges involved, but we got to go play the way we're capable of playing, and then we'll be all right.
Well, John, it's really interesting to hear you talk about the conversations about free agency starting here this week and next week. So will you not go, or does it not make sense for you to go? We've got a heavyweight fight coming up on Monday at the Rose Bowl. Alabama's going to play Michigan. Is that is not part of what your schedule will look like next week? Attending that game, you'll have scouts at that game.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have scouts, and that's not to say I won't head out from time to time, but we're in a busy time of year right now, and there's so much to do with our own roster each week. I mean, coming out of that Monday night game, we were a banged up team, and you're starting to say, okay, how are we going to put together this roster? And you're waiting on medical information. Unfortunately, a lot of it's broken in a good way. So, but that's why you got to rely on people, and we've assembled a really good team of college scouts. Our pro scouts led by R.J. Gill and Adam Peters, who leads them all, and Tariq Ahmad, our college scouting director. I mean, really a talented group, and so there's a lot of trust. You get the film, and we visit the schools at different times. So, not to say we don't go out on the road. I don't go out on the road, but right now it's good to be around our team.
Well, you mentioned the injuries, Jair Brown specifically, in part because we've got a guy who you may need to step up immediately, and he hasn't been around that long. Logan Ryan, who's been this is an impressive guy. I didn't realize he was an all-state quarterback in high school in New Jersey, and then he's an All-American. So how's Jair? How do you kind of assess where Jair is, and what does Logan Ryan have to do to get himself up to speed to potentially play a huge role for this team?
Well, first of all, I got to point out, Jair. The football character of the young man, the overall character. I mean, he played, injured his knee in the first quarter of that game versus Baltimore, played the entire game, and then we find out, that he's got an injury, so you appreciate who he is, what he represents, and the way he's been playing. Unfortunately, there's patterns that happen in this league, and it seems like that injuries kind of happen in bunches to certain position groups. It started with Hufanga, George Odom then went down, and then Jair comes in and is settling in and doing really well. Thank God, Tashawn Gibson's been he stayed healthy and kind of held it down back there. But we had to start looking for some depth, and it's nice when there's a vet like Logan Ryan out there. And, we started having conversations. When we pulled the trigger, he was on a Disney cruise with his kids. He had never been on a cruise. And once we had an opportunity, he said, "Look, I got to finish off this cruise, but I've been staying in shape, and then give me 10 more days, and I'll be ready." And so that's kind of how it happened. And Logan, it's nice to have a guy got a lot of versatility to his game. Has played some nickel over the years for championship teams in New England. Was last in Tampa. And was playing at a high level, played well against us when we last played them, so a couple years ago. And so Logan, it's nice that if Jair can't go, that you can turn to a guy like Logan Ryan and feel very comfortable with what you have back there.
John Lynch joining us here on KNBR. I want to follow up just on Jair Brown a little bit. I know it was categorized as a knee sprain, I believe, by Kyle. Is there any, as much as you can or care to share, update on potential timeline for Jair Brown and the significance of that injury?
No, I mean, Kyle said it. It's a knee sprain, and there's timelines on that, but those are just that, timelines. And Jair's eager. He's young, so he heals quickly. And it's one of those that's going to go right down to the wire. And I know he wants to play. He's been out moving around. We'll see if he can make it. If not, Logan will fill in, and we feel very confident that he'll do a really good job. So, that one is, a number of our injuries this week are going to be kind of going right down to the wire.
John, I want to just get into the Ravens game a little bit. Obviously, disappointment. A couple of really good teams this season. The story of the game was the turnovers, and in particular the interceptions. 4 of them for Brock Purdy. Just what would kind of your overarching thoughts on the way the game got out of hand and Brock Purdy's performance in the game?
Yeah, we knew we had a ton of respect for the opponent coming in. We knew we were facing a really good football team. We thought the best football team we'd had the opportunity to play all year, and they were just that. I think they made the plays, and we were number one in turnover differential going into the game. It's been a huge part of our success, the way we've been protecting the ball and we've been taking it away. Quite simply, we gave it away and we didn't take it away. And so when you have 2 good teams playing and one has 5 turnovers, the other has 0, it's not going to work out well. And we have to learn from it. Great respect for that team, a very physical football team, well coached, well put together. And we learn from it. And the biggest thing is to be able to turn the page, because we got to go take care of business. And I've been on teams like where Washington's at early in my career in Tampa, and there is a freedom to, number one, to, hey, we got nothing to lose, in the way that a team like Washington can play. Also, there's a lot going on, a lot of speculation. People don't know who they're going to play for, so they want to put real good film out there, and, because they don't know who they're trying to impress. And so, you're going to have a motivated bunch, and we got to be just that, and we got to bounce back. And like I said earlier, understand that everything that we want is in our control, and just go execute and play our game. And some of the things we talked about in terms of protecting the ball and taking it away, get back to who we are.
I thought Brock had a really insightful, mature, interesting press conference yesterday, explaining the first interception, talking about a lot of stuff. And one thing he said that I thought was interesting, John, was just about his state of mind and the lesson he learned in that game. It seems like every time he plays a game, he comes away with, he talks about like lessons learned. And, he said that late in the game, he wasn't in the perfect state of mind, and that maybe he was trying to make one big play to win a game when that's just not what was necessary. And I thought what was incredible was, despite it, he was still making really impressive throws. Even after that 4th interception, he threw a ball to start that next drive behind Debo, and even Aikman on TV wondered, well, maybe he's a little rattled, which would be understandable. And then his next throw on 2nd down, he delivers this 20-yard strike to Debo Samuel that makes you go, well, I don't know, maybe he still got it. So what was your observation, how he handled that? how any player in that position I'm sure as a defender, that's what you're always trying to do is put guys in the wrong mindset. So what did you think of his mindset, and how did you think he handled kind of as things started to maybe snowball on him?
Yeah, you like I've always been with Brock, just impressed. And you say that in a 4-pick game, but I think exactly what you said in the fact that he didn't go into a shell. He kept playing the position. He kept anticipating making throws before guys. That's a hard thing to do. Once you've put a couple interceptions up there, he's trying to win a football game and thinking of nothing else. And so, continue to be impressed by Brock. I think he's only, maybe the Minnesota game where he threw a couple and, had to deal with that kind of adversity. But just like you guys said, the way he comes out of it, it gives our team great confidence just because he's steady. He's steady. He's a competitor. He's going to learn from his successes. He's going to learn from his failures. And we got a ton of belief that he's going to come out and learn from every situation and be his best version of himself the following week. And that's exactly what he's done this week and the way he's approached it. And you got to go do it, obviously, but we have great confidence that he will because that's what he's always done. So, I think the first interception, bad decision. The other one, some tip balls. I mean, he owns them, but, it just was bad fortune. But, you learn from those things. You try to put yourself in the best situation, your team in the best situation going forward. And we all have to own that and, deal with that disappointment. But the good teams turn the disappointment into motivation and fuel to go play better and be the team we know we're capable of being.
Did you deal with stingers in your career? He's had 2 in a row, and he talked about it yesterday too. Is that something that you dealt with much? Yeah,
unfortunately. I mean, that's when I left Tampa. That kind of was at the core. I had gone 11 years at Tampa, and in my 11th year, everybody gets them in the game, but they became more regular to the point where I had to have neck surgery. And so I know exactly what he's dealing with, and it's not fun. You kind of got to break the cycle of getting them on a weekly basis, and it's just been the last couple weeks, and have been minor, but they're not fun. They're not fun at all, and so hopefully we can move past that. I think he responded really well to this one, and hopefully we're in a good place. We can protect him and get him kind of away from that and not make that something he's dealing with anymore.
It sounded like from what he's. I'm sorry, JD. It sounded like from what he said, it's pretty individual. Based on the person. Is that kind of your experience with it as well, or is everybody who gets them needs to avoid them for a few weeks to get it to go away?
No, I think it's different. It's different for each and every person as to why you're getting them and how you're getting them and all that. And we believe me, we would never put Brock in a position where we don't think it's smart for him to be out there. And there's obviously a bunch of highly qualified docs that are evaluating them, and Brock's in a good place, and we're confident that he can go out there and perform and be healthy out there.
Final question for you, John. I want to ask you about Chase Young, his return to Washington. Obviously, he spoke to how significant that is going to be for him. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what Chase Young has meant to this team in the second half of the season after you've acquired him. What have you made of his impact? The numbers maybe haven't been there, but it's pretty clear from watching that just having someone with his skill set has helped open a lot of things up for your defensive line and the pass rush overall. Just kind of give us your take on Chase here as you head down the stretch of the season and he goes back to D.C.
Chase has been phenomenal. There are a lot of things said, and that happens in this league when people leave places. But my parents taught me, growing up, that you always make your own judgment on people. And, we had some interactions on Chase. We didn't put much into him because we knew we weren't getting him, but it had some interaction, talked to some people, and spoke very highly of him. Nick, obviously, had been around him, and, he's been awesome. He's been awesome to work with. Man, he looks good in a uniform, and he's been really good for us. Just throwing another guy into the mix. It's funny, since he's been in here, we've been chasing the likes of Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Hurts. It's been some big challenges, but he's made us better. He's made everybody better. He's really assimilated to that group. That's a tight group, and he's jumped right in, and the guys really like him. He's given great effort. Chase can't say enough good things about him, and then he's supremely talented. So it's been a great addition. That's a position we like being strong, and and he's added a lot to the mix there.